In recent hours, Typhoon Podul has struck several regions of Southeast Asia, leaving in its wake a landscape of widespread destruction and damage. The storm has unleashed intense rains and winds that have reached dangerous speeds, causing flash flooding, downed trees, and significant damage to essential infrastructure. The magnitude of this event has been such that several provinces have activated emergency alerts, while entire communities face disruptions to basic services and a sudden deterioration in their living conditions. Since its arrival, Podul has maintained an active path, forcing thousands of people to seek refuge in safe areas. Storm surges and high waves have put coastal areas at risk, while continued rains increase the threat of landslides in mountainous areas. The force of the wind has ripped off roofs, toppled power poles, and blocked key roads, complicating emergency teams' access to the most affected areas. The atmospheric pressure associated with the system has generated extreme conditions that have overwhelmed the immediate response capacity in some areas. In rural areas, crops have been flooded, compromising agricultural production and anticipating an economic impact that could extend into the coming weeks. The population has faced prolonged power outages, hampering both communication and the preservation of essential food and medicine. Meteorological authorities had warned in advance of the typhoon's formation and progress, allowing for the implementation of preventive measures in several localities. However, the final intensity of the phenomenon has exceeded initial projections, demonstrating the unpredictability of tropical systems this season. Many communities have reported that, despite preparations, damage has been unavoidable due to the storm's magnitude. In the most densely populated urban areas, strong gusts and torrential rains have caused flooding in streets and main avenues, disrupting public transportation and trapping numerous vehicles. In residential areas, water has entered single-story homes, forcing families to evacuate with the bare minimum. The accumulation of water in critical areas has increased the risk of waterborne diseases and vector-borne diseases, such as mosquitoes. Along the coast, waves driven by the typhoon's winds have exceeded normal levels, affecting fishing vessels and structures. Some ports have had to suspend operations, while boats and launches have been removed from exposed areas to prevent total losses. Fishermen and maritime workers have had to halt their activities, which also impacts the local seafood supply chain. In mountainous areas, persistent rains have saturated the ground, critically increasing the likelihood of landslides. Some secondary routes have been blocked by landslides, leaving communities isolated and without rapid access to humanitarian aid. Response teams are working to clear these routes, although weather conditions continue to hamper the work and put workers at risk. Typhoon Podul has also severely affected electrical infrastructure, leaving large areas without power for several hours or even days. Downed power lines and poles have forced power companies to deploy crews for urgent repairs, although bad weather often prevents immediate restoration of service. This disruption has impacted hospitals, shelter centers, and water pumping stations, increasing the strain on emergency resources. The situation in educational centers has also been affected, with classes suspended indefinitely until conditions improve and facilities can be assessed for safety. Some schools have been adapted as temporary shelters for displaced families, offering shelter and basic care, although with limited space and resources. Health services face a growing challenge, as the increase in displaced people and unsanitary conditions can trigger disease outbreaks. Mobile units and volunteers have been distributing medical supplies and providing care, but demand exceeds available capacity. Treatment for injuries from falling objects, accidents on flooded roads, and other typhoon-related incidents has increased significantly. In the agricultural sector, the devastation is visible. Entire fields have been submerged underwater, affecting rice, vegetable, and fruit crops that were in full growing season. The loss of this production will have direct repercussions on the livelihoods of thousands of farming families and on the supply of local markets. Main roads have been affected due to the accumulation of debris, branches, and damaged vehicles. In some sections, floodwaters have surpassed the level of bridges, impeding the passage of all transport. This has hampered the delivery of humanitarian aid to the most affected communities, increasing the urgency of rescue operations. Amid this situation, communication networks have suffered intermittent interruptions. In several locations, mobile phone signals have disappeared for hours, complicating the coordination of rescues and communication between family members. Local radio stations have played a key role, broadcasting information about safe routes and assistance points. The intense rains have had a direct impact on the capacity of rivers and drainage systems. In multiple areas, these have exceeded their capacity levels, generating overflows that flood low-lying areas and multiplying the damage to property and crops. Sewage systems in cities have collapsed, leaving large accumulations of contaminated water in inhabited areas. In markets and supply centers, the flow of goods has drastically decreased due to route disruptions and the impossibility of transportation in critical areas. This has begun to generate an increase in the prices of basic goods, representing an additional blow to families who have already lost possessions and homes. Air travel has also been disrupted, with flights canceled or diverted to alternate airports. The lack of visibility and intense gusts have made it impossible to maintain regular schedules, affecting both domestic and international travelers. Weather forecasts indicate that although Typhoon Podul is losing strength as it moves inland, its remnants will continue to generate heavy rains and possible flooding in the coming hours. This keeps communities at risk of additional impacts before the system completely dissipates on alert. Rescue and relief operations continue under adverse conditions, with crews working around the clock to locate trapped people, distribute supplies, and restore basic services. Despite the difficulties, the community response has been remarkable, with residents helping with evacuation efforts and food distribution. The magnitude of the damage caused by Typhoon Podul poses a considerable challenge for recovery. A coordinated reconstruction effort will be necessary, including housing rehabilitation, infrastructure repair, and financial support for the hardest-hit productive sectors.